What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So I meant to do this video last weekend, but I just had a really busy weekend for this and just haven't had a lot of time to do it. But I guess in a way we'll just count this as a win. Maybe this video will get more views now that more people have seen Captain America Brave New World. I'm just going to go over, I already did a spoiler-free review of the movie, so I'll go ahead and put that in the link in the description below. However, this is going to be a spoiler-filled review, so it's going to be liberal spoilers in the comments if y'all talk about it. Again, doesn't have to be a spoiler warning. This is a spoiler-filled video. We're just going to talk about the movie. Nothing's going to be left on the table. And I really just, for starters, want to talk about my really brief thoughts, just in case y'all missed, again, that spoiler-free review. It's not going to be a full-length review, just kind of tell you where I'm at. And if you did see my other review, you'll know I actually found the film to be quite enjoyable for the most part. Definitely not on the level of the original trilogy of Captain America movies. In my personal opinion, I wouldn't even say it's as good as Falcon and Winter Soldier, though if you really didn't like that show, then I would say you might enjoy this movie better. But for me, just going into Brave New World, it really gave me everything that I expected. I expected a really fun Marvel movie, and that's what I got. I expected Red Hulk from the trailers. They were only showing him in like one scene, that fight scene with Sam. I had a feeling it was only going to be in the last like 10 minutes of the movie, and that's exactly what it was. So I guess I went in prepared to just have a fun Marvel movie that hopefully moved the path forward to a certain degree, and that's more or less exactly what I got. So I did enjoy it. I gave it like a 7.5 out of 10, and I do stand by that. It is, again, one of the more fun Marvel movies, like, if we're not including Deadpool and Wolverine or No Way Home or something like that. It is one of the more fun Marvel movies we've gotten in a while. And I guess the big question here, I'll just go ahead and start off for our spoiler-filled discussion. Is Anthony Mackie a worthy successor to Steve Rogers? In my opinion, he is. I think Anthony Mackie just owns this role. Again, he may not be Steve Rogers' Captain America, but he's his own version. And I think they really did a great job of, because a lot of people are acting like Anthony Mackie's only been in the MCU a few years, and they're talking about, oh, we only want to see, the OG like Steve. But Anthony Mackie, if you think about it, guys, he's been in the MCU for more of its existence than he hasn't. The Winter Soldier came out, I believe, in 2014, and if I'm not mistaken, that was Anthony Mackie's debut as Falcon. So when you take that and you think, okay, we're hitting 11 years now, there was only a 6-year time frame between Iron Man and Captain America Winter Soldier, and an 11-year time frame from Winter Soldier to Brave New World, which, just saying that makes me feel like a dinosaur. But anyways, yeah, so I think about that and I'm like, you know what? Anthony Mackie, he may not be Steve, Thor, Iron Man, like those kind of characters, but I would argue he's just a tad beneath those. I mean, he's really like the second tier characters, like when you got Wanda. Characters have been in a while, but not since the beginning is how I like to put it. So like, he'd be right up there with like Wanda and characters like that. Vision as well. And he's been in a decent amount of Marvel movies too, if we think about it. So I say all that to say, Anthony Mackie, he's been developed enough to where it makes, in my opinion, logical sense for him to take the mantle as Captain America. One of my biggest things has always been, while yes, technically Sam and Bucky are both criminals outside of the law, because, he acted against the government during Civil War and then Infinity War and Endgame, but like at the end of the day, he did it to protect people. Bucky was a criminal because he murdered dozens of people. And brainwashed or not, that's still the image that he has out there. And I wouldn't mind down the road seeing Sebastian Stan take on the role as Captain America. I think it could be really good. Then give him more development in this process of Mackie having the mantle. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at on the issue, is I just think it logically made sense for Mackie to become Captain America. And while I will admit, in this movie, I kind of wish they gave him more of an actual arc. I think he does a great job in this role. He feels like somebody who could lead the Avengers, who could, go toe-to-toe with government officials. I just think he does a really good job overall. And speaking of government officials, we got to talk about Harrison Ford, who plays President Ross in this movie. Right off the bat, I'm just going to address the elephant in the room. Is it weird seeing him in place of... I feel terrible, but I cannot remember this guy's name. The one that passed away a couple years ago. William Hurt, there we go. I was like, I've got to remember this guy's name. That just it was disrespectful. But yeah, so when William Hurt passed away, Harrison Ford took on this role of Thunderbolt Ross. And you know, he does a great job. It really does feel like he's playing Harrison Ford a lot of times, but it also kind of feels like it's the same character to a certain degree. Like it's still the same motivations. Harrison Ford just, you know, he brings across that same personality to Thunderbolt Ross that, and you know, motivations, all that stuff that William Hurt did. So while it is a bit more Harrison Ford in terms of, you know, the film naturally, it is very much still the same character. It wasn't distracting to me at all. Maybe it's because, you know, he's been heavily hyped in the marketing material, shown in all the trailers. So, you know, I fully expected him, and I fully expected this to feel like a Harrison Ford performance. So, for me, he just fits right in. It doesn't feel really unnatural. I mean, I can think of probably at least 10 instances across shows and movies where there's been a recasting due to a death or something like that, and the character just doesn't fit the role well. And they don't actually, like, you know, they could make it so tongue-in-cheek, but luckily they don't do that. There's, like, one joke about, you know, where Harrison Ford tells Sam, he's like, lose the election or lose the stash, to where, you know, he doesn't have the mustache. But that's like it, you know, it's not really done in poor taste, and I really appreciate that. As for the Red Hulk, again, you know, he's only in the movie for like 10 minutes. The fight with Sam, I enjoyed it. I don't think it was my favorite fight scene. Again, I think my favorite fight scene in that movie was the scene on the water with like the ships and the planes. Very like Top Gun inspired action sequence where the leader's like on the phone with Ross, like trying to, you know, manipulate him, and he almost turns to the Red Hulk. I thought that was a really great intense moment there. So just overall, I would say that's probably my favorite action scene in the movie. But the Red Hulk fight is really solid, and in my opinion, I think there's a couple moments where it's a little questionable, but at the end of the day, I think they did a great job at actually making it believable. Like, he's not getting, like, punched directly in the face, and I was like, if they have him doing that with this man with no serum, no, it's gonna just feel so off, in my opinion. But luckily, they found a really good way, because he's got the vibranium wings now, so obviously they found, I think, a really great way to just have, you know, him go toe-to-toe with Red Hulk, have him land a few punches or whatever, damage him with the vibranium wings, but they do it in a way to where it feels, I think, about as realistic as it possibly could. And moving on, you got the leader. I know a lot of people really hate him as a villain in this movie. Personally, I didn't. Excuse me, guys. Still getting over a cold here. Bear with me. But the leader in this movie, you know, I know people hate him and don't like his performance, and they think Tim Blake Nelson just was underused in this movie, you could say. Well, I see what they're saying and where they're coming from. I think, to me, if you can look past the really hideous design, I am not a fan of the design in this movie. I know the Funko Pops came out a while back, and they looked much more like the Funko Pops, the promotional material, all that, I thought looked so much better than what we actually got. I don't know if this was a fix-it-in post-production kind of thing, where it was like, let's just change the design because they don't want to risk a MODOK 2.0 or whatever. But, yeah. Outside of that, though, I really didn't mind him in the movie. I thought his motivations were pretty clear. He's not a top 10. He's not even like a top 15 villain. But I wouldn't be opposed to seeing more of him in the MCU. I mean, I, again, like his motivations. I think there were moments where he was very intimidating. Yeah, if he's like standing there, it's like a little, like, you know, he's a shorter dude. So he's not quite as intimidating in person. But like, again, that scene where he's like on the phone with Sam or Harrison Ford, you know, when he's in the shadows, when you just hear his voice, I think it's so much more intimidating than when you actually see him. And again, it just comes down to the really stupid design that they gave him. But yeah, that's kind of my opinion on the leader. He's a decent villain. He's, you know, fine, whatever. Moving on, you got Sabra, who I will say, you know, this isn't a character, again, I hate, but this is a character that if I never saw her again, I wouldn't lose any sleep over it. I mean, at least for the leader, like I said, I would like to see him again. Maybe they could rework his design and just say, hey, the gamma radiation is, you know, taking more time to fully manifest or whatever. So they could do something in that regard. Sorry, guys. But for Sabra, you know, I just, like, I can believe to a certain degree that there are some women, and I don't want to get political, I don't want to get into the whole woke debate or anything like that, and I'm not at all saying that this is woke. I'm just saying, I can, like, I can see to a certain degree women taking on men and winning in a fight because there are like ways that women can use body strength and take down moves. Like I can believe that to a certain degree. And you know, sometimes maybe women are just typically stronger than some dudes. That's fine, whatever. But this Saber girl, and no offense to the actress, I'm just saying it took me out of the movie a little bit. She's like maybe 5 feet at most, and she's like going through a hallway taking out all these guys, and I'm like, it's just that's one of those things that it just takes me out of the movie. Like, you know, she's just taking out all these dudes. They got like shields, they got like these batons, all that, and I'm just like, I don't. I just, you know, you're stretching the believability a bit here. And I know this is a movie where Sam's going up against, or, you know, regular dude basically is going up against a Red Hulk. But again, like I said, they do that in a believable way. This, like, I get she's a Black Widow. I get that she had training in the Red Room and all that. But still, it just, you know, it took me out of the movie just a little bit. And they don't give her any sort of background. I know she was an Israeli character, and Marvel, whether you think they're right or wrong, I'm not going to get into that, but I know they maybe took some backstory out because of that. There were like rumors and speculation about that, but for me personally, I just feel like they should have done something with her at least, because she really isn't used much more than like that one fight scene and to come over and like, you know, just be right-hand man to Harrison Ford basically. And I guess now that the characters are out of the way, the overall story, I think it works for the most part. Again, I like the whole idea of Thunderbolt Ross really keeping the leader in this contained facility, but he really needs the leader because he, trying to think, it's been a couple weeks since I've seen the movie, but yeah, so like, you know, Thunderbolt Ross has a bad heart, and so the leader is giving him these gamma infused pills that he's not aware of that's really essentially helping him stay alive more or less. But it's also, you know, creating this monster that we see later on in the Red Hulk. So again, I just thought that was a really kind of fun, you know, it's not the Godfather level storytelling, but it's a fun comic book idea. Again, I think it works. I think it really helps with the villain motivations as well. And then you got like the side plot with Giancarlo Esposito Sidewinder, I think is Sidewinder. So I'm gonna go with Sidewinder. That sounds right. But yeah, you got Sidewinder, and again, Giancarlo Esposito. He's owning the role. He's making it his own. But he definitely feels underused. But they don't kill him off in this movie. So maybe going forward, if we can get like more of the Serpent Society or see more Giancarlo Esposito, I think all will be right with the world. And I'm sure we will down the line, because obviously he's a really high profile actor. Surely they wouldn't waste him like that. Well, they've done it before, but we're not going to talk about that. But, you know, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing that, to be completely honest with you. I would, you know, the time he's in, again, the time that he's in the movie works really well. He gets some really good action scenes, a couple solid lines of dialogue. It's just that he's just not used quite, like he's used more than Saber, that's for sure, but he's just not, they don't use him quite to his fullest potential. And the movie's like barely 2 hours. I think it's even a few minutes less than that. So like, I understand they don't have time, but you know, it is what it is, I guess. And then, trying to think, Bucky, we can talk about Bucky. The cameo in the movie where Falcon gets shot down by the ship, and then Sam goes to visit, you know, him in the hospital, and like he's undergoing surgery. Very, very almost similar scene in The Winter Soldier when Nick Fury took that pill to like dropped his heartbeat to 1 beat per minute or something, and they're doing all the surgery on him, and Cap's just looking on. That was a very reminiscent scene. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but it's kind of the vibes I got from him. And the scene where Bucky shows up when he's overlooking the procedure, it's a really great scene. I think there's some really great lines of dialogue in there. I love how, you know, Bucky tells Sam, and he says it a lot better than I'm going to say it, but, you know, Sam's like, I think I should take this serum, and I can't remember the exact wording of it, but I remember that Bucky was like, you know what? Steve gave people someone to hope for, and I think he said some lines like, he gave you something to, you know, you give them something to aspire to or something. And, you know, it's a really great passing of the torch moment. It's really great to see Bucky Barnes come full circle and just see for a fact that, you know, he is, you know, that Bucky approves. Because in Falcon and Winter Soldier, you know, it was a little tense there at times, but it's great to see Bucky be like, hey, I understand why Steve gave you the shield. You're a worthy successor. Go for it, buddy. And, just overall a really great, tender moment between the two. Then obviously you got the next kind of somewhat big cameo is Liv Tyler. And, she's playing again Harrison Ford's daughter, Thunderbolt Ross. What's her name? Betty Ross. There we go. I don't know why I couldn't think of that. But yeah, she does a really good job as well for like the couple scenes she's in. Just very tender moments between the two. And again, she brings out, like, she only makes a physical appearance at the end of the movie, but in my opinion, she brings out the best, like the most emotional beats for Harrison Ford's character. So that, like I said, she's only in a couple scenes. She only makes a physical appearance at the very end. But I think a lot of the emotional beats for Harrison Ford that makes you see Harrison Ford for who he is as, just an actor, the range that he has, where he can be really gruff and tough, but he can also have this emotional side to a lot of his characters. And this is no exception. So I think both play off each other really well. And when they do meet, for fans, this is the first time that we've seen Liv Tyler's Betty Ross since The Incredible Hulk. So, you're pushing the better part of 20 years at this point. So it's nice to see in terms of as a fan, but then also in terms of storytelling, it just felt right. And I guess I'll address one of the big criticisms I've heard about this movie, that it's way too exposition heavy. I am more of a show don't tell guy, I'll be honest. So for me, there are definitely some scenes like when Harrison Ford's talking about the stuff with the leader and giving him pills and everything. I would have personally liked to have seen more of it. But in that certain instance, in the context of the film, I feel like if you had broken the scene where Harrison Ford's telling that to Sam, I feel like you would have really gotten, it would have taken you a little bit out of that emotional, heaviness of the scene. In my opinion, at least. I know everyone's going to have their own opinion, and there are definitely some scenes in this movie where I think they really could have taken a show don't tell approach, but, overall, it's not terrible. It's not anything that, the writing isn't great for sure, but I also do understand that it is where word this, I guess. I don't know, but I lost my train of thought there. But yeah, it's if the writing had been stronger, people would have forgiven it more. But because I don't not necessarily need a flashback in virtually every other scene where they talk about something that happened in the past. I don't need that. So it worked for me for the most part. I don't really have any complaints in that regard. But I do understand why maybe for some people they wanted to actually see more of Harrison Ford or Thunderbolt Ross's struggle with his heart condition, what really drove him to go to the leader. I do get that. So I understand. It just didn't personally bother me as much as it did for some people. And last but not least, let's talk about the post-credit scene. It's really at its core nothing too special. It's a fun little tease, oh, what is he referring to? But, the leader, if you've seen the movie, he's very much into probabilities. He can see different, apparently, realities that we find out. That's one of those things where I feel like they could have expanded a little bit more with this character, because we know, comic book fans know in the comics that the leader's, borderline all-knowing. I think it said that, the leader is as smart as the Hulk is strong. So, he's got close to almost infinite knowledge. But they don't explain it super well in the movie, aside from, a throwaway line or two. But anyways, in the post-credit scene where the leader's in the raft and Sam comes to visit him, and they're the leader looks at Sam and he goes, they start talking, and the leader says, "Do you think that you're the only world? Or do you think that you're..." No, he's talking about, first I guess he's talking about the Avengers. And he's talking about how y'all aren't prepared to stop what's coming next. And so when Sam's well, what are you talking about? He's like, "Do you think that you are the only world? Do you think your heroes are the only heroes?" And it's a really fun tease to Doomsday, but it doesn't also tease it enough, I feel especially for a movie. And I'm not saying you gotta have a multiversal portal pop up and RDJ's Dr. Doom walks in at the post-credit scene. That's obviously not at all what I'm saying. But what I am saying is it just feels a little weird to have because we got Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, and then I guess Doomsday's next. So you're looking with, if we include Captain America Brave New World, that's only 3 movies before Doomsday. So we really got to start kind of, bringing things together, especially when they've been building up Kang and now they're switching to Doom. We got to do something to really, set the stage for Doctor Doom. And so I just feel as though this scene could have gone a little more and said there's, he could have said something like, there's someone coming that you won't expect and he's going to destroy the entire, like, give us a little something, a little tease, or like the threat that you think you're facing isn't the threat that's going to, erase our existence or threaten our reality. Just, it does, again, it's just a little tease, like a little something more, but it's not a terrible post-credit scene by any means. And I guess, one more thing I'll say before I sign off here is I'll just say one of the things that did bother me about this movie a little bit is that while they do plant Easter eggs for what's to come, I was really expecting a little bit more in regards to him actually forming the Avengers. And that comes back to my other thing I just mentioned a second ago with the post-credit scene. Like, we're 3 movies away from Doomsday. We don't even know who's on the Avengers team. Like, we can assume Spider-Man, obviously Cap, who they said is going to lead the Avengers. But we don't know, like, who else is going to be. Like, we can guess. I think they confirmed Star-Lord, maybe. But, I was really hoping that, like, at the end, when Sam's talking to Joaquin Torres's Falcon character at the end, he would be like, and they're talking about, the world does need the Avengers. That we'd see him, like, pull up the files of, like, Shang-Chi, Kate Bishop, Spider-Man, like, all these heroes. I'm not saying we got to see him recruit every single one, but just a tease like that to be like, hey, Cap's rounding up the Avengers. Doomsday's coming. Just a little further tease for a movie that, is supposed to build off of almost another decade of Marvel movies, but I feel like it's had, in the grand scheme of things, very little build up to it. So, yeah, that's really all I got, I guess, in terms of my spoiler-filled thoughts. Just, let me know in the comments down below. Did y'all enjoy this movie? I know it's been pretty divisive. I do think if you go into it with an open mind, you'll have fun with it. I mean, I've seen the movie twice now. I saw it once with my girlfriend. I saw it another time with a really a best friend who might be even more of a Marvel fan than I am. And then I saw it with my dad, and we all enjoyed it to a varying degree. I mean, I think my girlfriend maybe even liked it more than me. I think she gave like an 8 out of 10. I gave it like a 7.5 out of 10. So, overall, I think it's an enjoyable movie if you go in with the right mindset. Just don't expect the Winter Soldier level good storytelling, or even just MCU movie on the level of, say, Shang-Chi, or on the level of, Thor Ragnarok, the Spider-Man movies. It's not top 10, but it is fun. It is entertaining, and I hope you all have a great time, or had a great time watching it, I guess. If you made it in this video, I'm just going to assume all y'all have seen this movie. But, yeah, just let me know in the comments down below, guys. Did you love Captain America Brave New World? Did you hate it? Are you kind of in the middle? Do you have any extra thoughts to add? Anything I missed in the spoiler review section? Just let me know in the comments, and hope you all have a great day. As always, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video, and I will catch you all. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. If you liked what you've seen here and you want to see more, please feel free to like, subscribe, share, and check out my other videos in the link in the description down below, and I will see you all later.